Hello, happy August. I'm Sarah Keene and I am here with you. We are just in the Lion's Gate, and the energies are so big and intense some days. And it feels like we've had every day previous to this has been a new jump in our timelines. So many changes are happening, and I'd love to talk to you a little bit more about what is in store for us in August. First, before we get into all of those big things that are happening, I do want to tell you I am teaching a new class and I'm teaming up with Sarah Shook, who's an amazing channel medium and healer. And she and I are going to be teaching a class called Learn to Channel. So Sarah's going to be doing the classes that are the practicum, helping you understand how to work with and to channel, to tap into the energies of higher self and galactic beings, ascended masters, and the angelic realm. And she is going to help you learn about how that feels to connect in with those, the different types of messages that they bring. There's a different energy, how to discern, how to protect yourself so that you know that you're tapping into benevolent, high frequency energy. And so you can improve if you're already starting to do some channeling or journaling, and you notice that you're really tapping into like some kind of a subconscious level, where the journaling kind of becomes this message to you. That's a good starting point. Also, if you are already getting messages from the spirit world, this is the class for you, because you can learn how to move your messages coming in to trance writing all the way up to trance speaking in 5 weeks. So in that class, we have two tracks, and the first track is all the practicum that Sarah Shook is going to be teaching, and also deep meditations to get you really integrated and blended with the energies. And then I'm going to be teaching each week also. So these are in tandem. If you take the second track, you'll be doing two classes a week. And I'm going to be doing the developmental classes, which is what I love the most, I think, is to help people to not only tap in, but refine their techniques to understand how things are coming into them and to really get a felt sense of what and how to do it. And in those development circles, I have great exercises that we're going to be doing with partners. So don't worry, everybody's going to be in a space of non-ego and helpfulness. And this is the place where you can get some validation for your messages. Very often we don't have validation for what we're bringing through or if it makes sense. But here you're going to be with and surrounded by other people who also really want to learn, really want to improve, refine their channel, and also give helpful feedback. So please take a look into into this class and to find out which track is most helpful for you. And if this class is your next step in your development, it's not a very basic class. So this is more for you if you're kind of an advanced beginner, or maybe even intermediate, or if you're already doing getting and recognizing when messages come into you, recognize how they're coming in. We're going to be able to move that onto paper and into trance speaking together. So if you're feeling all the feels while I'm talking about this, it's probably because you're getting called into that next phase of your mission and your soul's work here on the planet. And this is the next part of it. So go check those links. You're going to be so glad that you invested in your spiritual growth. And really, we are getting to a phase where so many of us here are getting called into that next level of our soul's mission or our soul's growth. And let's go talk about that, because that is the biggest part of what I want to talk to you about what August is. Okay. If you're in your 20s or above, you are likely getting called into the next phase of your soul's plan. What I'm seeing in my work with clients and what the messages that I'm receiving from guides is that in the next 2 decades, many of the children, not all of them, but many of the children that are being born on the planet are coming here from the farther reaches of the galactic soul families and soul groups that we have been connected to. And as the veil around the earth is thinning now, those galactic groups can actually reach us and connect with us more for the next part of Gaia's mission, the next part of our mission, and to support these children that are coming in. And what I've been seeing is that there are some people where all of a sudden everything seems like the rug is getting pulled up. And what's happening is that some of those people are actually getting called in to be support work for these next groups, these next babies and children that are coming in. If you're in your 20s around now and life just all of a sudden fell apart and you feel like you're going in another direction, you're very likely one of the teachers for these children that are going to be coming in the next 2 decades. You are part of that support group and you are getting called into mission. You are getting put into purpose. And if you would have gone down that other road, you would have been accessing a different part of your mission. But because you are of a certain nature and because there was an agreement that if these souls and these galactic groups are able to come in at this time, you wanted to be on the support team. You wanted to be a teacher for them. And here we go. The rug gets pulled up. Your life seems to come unraveling, or you all of a sudden just life fell apart. This is why, because you're here to be part of the support network for the next phase of Gaia and the children that are coming in. Okay. Now, so that was the groups of people that were in their 20s that all of a sudden were noticing this, but that is also happening for some people who are older. I noticed the soul itself decided to change its imprint and how it looks and identifies as a light worker. Those of us who were thinking of ourselves as a light worker, we were on this program to walk souls through, to help them out, to guide them, to help them on, move from not knowing who they are, awakening, and then moving into a place or a space where they were wanting to develop their spiritual growth, their connection to source, understand more about their whole soul and their soul's mission. You might have been the light worker or identified yourself as a light worker. But what it feels like right now is that we are getting a shift in that imprint of how the soul actually came into earth time space, identifying itself as the light worker. It doesn't have to do that in that same way. We can be a guide, we can be a helper, but we are no longer being called in to support the lost souls or the sleepy souls. We're actually here to become a forward unit for the new souls that are coming in and the galactic energies that are working with humanity. Remember, your soul, if you're a light worker, you've worked with a lot of different collective consciousnesses. You've worked with a lot of different soul councils, soul groups. You have been the intermediary point for many groups coming together and working together in order to help the souls that were in asleep who weren't awakened yet. And there was a time frame for that mission to be completed, and we have in this last year completed that mission. So what does a soul get as we were coming out of that mission? And I know I've talked to a lot of you guys in the last few years where we were just like, I don't know what I'm here to do anymore. Some of you even thought like, am I going to pass away? Like, I don't feel like I'm here to do anything anymore. And that was because that huge chunk of incarnations and that purpose and mission that you were holding for lifetime after lifetime was coming to a close. Well, it's closed now. And now what do we do? Well, we can stay here. We don't have to leave. We can have some fun. We can be here to work with and support the next energies and Gaia herself. So what does that mean? Well, that means that we need to go deeper into understanding ourselves, how our psychic gifts are working, how our intuition is working. We need to understand how to work with the elemental energies of Gaia herself. We've already done this in other lifetimes, and we're just relearning it on this surface level of humanity now. That is what's happening. So if you have noticed that all of a sudden you just feel completely disconnected from everything that you were doing, It's not a state of depression necessarily, but it just feels like a void. You're not alone. And the reason why is because we're having this galactic identity shift. On a soul level, you are changing the blueprint. And I like to think of this almost like the visual that my guides give me is like a football coach that has all of the imprints around, or all of the plays on the whiteboards around him. Well, all of a sudden, these plays that used to say, be a light worker, help the people who are lost, help the people who are desperate, help the people that are in pain. You don't have to do that mission anymore. You can support them in another way. And the word that comes up, instead of these blueprints and plays that were saying all of the former, they're saying sovereignty, freedom, um, love, welcoming you back into the blueprint of universal love. Those are the places where we are now helping to bring in these other souls that have that blueprint already, and they're coming in. So, what do you do while this mission is changing over, while your soul blueprint is changing over, while there is an ego death on a galactic level? Well, meditate, right? Clear space. Try to get out in nature, because nature has a way of righting itself, and we are so used to connecting into our devices that we forget that nature in its own way can help us to restore ourselves, but also developing your gifts, your intuitive gifts. This is an essential part of how the blueprint for these souls is going to need to be supported. These souls that come in, my guides are saying right now, are much more connected to their telepathic ways. They are much more, they're going to feel much more comfortable talking about things that they see between realms. Imagine if there was like a shoebox or a veil around earth time space, and all of a sudden that veil started to become less like a shoebox and more like a window, and then it became more like a window screen instead of a window. It becomes less and less structured and more flexible, more fluid. And what is happening as these got or so what is happening is that these new souls that are coming in being able to see and feel and get messages from the beyond. They're able to talk to the plants, they're able to talk to nature. They're here to restore our gifts, they're here to restore ancient practices, they're here to restore the golden age. They're here to restore. I'm just getting messages as I go here. These souls are here to restore um, like sources light from within, versus thinking that we have to be sustained by something outside of us. They are here to restore our light within, and they're coming in with that connection already, and they're going to be teaching us that. But we also need to be able to be receptive to who they are and how they work. And it's going to be kind of different than if we think of grandparents generations before us, where they didn't have that psychic gift or ability embraced or taught, or they weren't open to it, maybe they didn't have access to it. These souls are going to have it. And so we are now jumping from one ship of helping souls wake up and be a light worker to supporting sovereignty, freedom, universal love. So kind of like two sides of the same coin. But what is your focus? Right? What gift are you focused on developing? Are you still focused on your woundings, or are you focused on freedom, and are you focused on sovereignty? And those feelings are very different. Those feelings are very different. And so that is what we are getting ready to move through. This is a big, big month for us, a pivotal month. We are pivoting once again, and we have the eclipse portal coming up in August. So between August 12th to the 28th, we have a solar eclipse and a lunar eclipse. And please use this as a bookmark, because we are finishing 18 months of a particular cycle and starting 18 months of a new cycle. We are still in that galactic identity shift, a soul identity shift. And this is the perfect time to observe, to be aware and working with observation and let things fall away. Observe programs that are kind of going through your mind. Observe pain points that you're experiencing. Chances are something's coming back into your life that you've dealt with before, but not on the same intensity level. You're looking at it from a different vantage point. You're looking at it from a perspective of a much more healed mind, and you're not reacting in the same way, but you're choosing. You're like, I also, that doesn't fit who I am today, and I'm not going to dive in as deep. I'm going to excuse myself from the situation. I'm going to step back from participating in it. And what my guides show me is that when you can identify that there's a particular story that you move through or a particular program that you seem to go through, look at what that story arc is. How does it start? What initiates it? How do you react to it? And then what is the whole ride that takes you on all the way to the end when you're like, finally, it's done. Look when something comes up. If you're experiencing an old emotion that you thought you got, oh, I already healed that. Maybe somebody comes into your life, or a person like somebody who came into your life. That's like the little test, right? It's like, oh, yep, no, I really am done with that. So step back from the reaction and watch the story arc, or watch yourself want to react and don't. See what you can do, and keep saying goodbye. Keep saying, I release all of these contracts. I release that person. I release them into the light, and all of the cords and connections that we once held or were working with it. I release them into freedom and sovereignty. And I also move myself into and claim myself for freedom and sovereignty and universal love. I step into this new energy. That's what I want you to just kind of process and release the old, work with it. You could even name it, journal it, say, where did this start? Where did you even pick up that habit? Or was it even yours? Okay, you get to choose now. Sovereignty is about taking agency in your path. And that means the power is back. You get to choose how you want to move forward. This does put us in a little bit of a pain point, because there's a little discomfort when we realize that we have to step into this and that nobody else is saving us. Nobody else is going to show up and just like hand things to us that we've been wanting all this time. So there's a little discomfort level sometimes, but you are doing that supported by millions of other souls who are doing this also. And remember that your light is being called into its next mission if you're still here. We are sending off with so much love the souls that are done with their incarnations on this planet so that they can move into higher realms. We are saying goodbye to those we've been looking after for, lifetimes, and we no longer need to, because their soul's grown up enough that they can do it themselves. And now we move into, I'm ready to help out with this next mission. I'm ready to help connect with these galactic guides. They're bringing in this point. Many people also noticed a weirdness with their communication lately in this last month, where they felt like they weren't getting the same messages. And the guides also want me to mention that you may have new galactic guides or higher frequency guides that are here to like take you into the next step. So when we have spirit guide team, when we agree to ask, or when we ask people before we incarnate in, and we're like, okay, I want these guys on my team because of their specialties. And we know that some of those souls have been with us for lifetimes or all of our incarnations. Some of them are with us temporarily for a project in this lifetime. And some of those guides will like switch in when we're getting ready to do the next new project. And that's what we're having too. So if you've had some quiet space also with the not feeling like you're getting messages as clearly or in the same way, maybe because the guides are changing. So again, if you were used to those ways of communication and you want to connect in with your guides better, you want to connect in with your galactic guides, please join this class with Sarah Shook and myself coming up. We're going to have a blast and we're going to connect in with such amazing energies. And so I invite you to put that on your calendar for September and join us. Happy August and happy eclipse portal.